Like what got you started to become a peptide guy, like to write a book on peptides? Like what was the linchpin on that one? Because I'm fascinated by them. I've recently started because I've had tremendous success with PPT 157 with my thumb. I used to have to get cortisone injections all the time because I damaged it boxing. And now BPC 157, now it's not 100%, but I don't have to get cortisone injections anymore. So what was your turning point where you're like, these require more study, more information?
Yeah, the BPC is very highly anti-inflammatory. That could just have been it. Because it's mostly systemic, it's not that great locally. But if you inject it locally, I mean, it goes into the tissue right there. So it might work a little more in that area. Usually for healing locally, TB500 is used a little more efficiently. So the cool thing about the peptides is, yes, I list all the side effects that are possible, but almost no one has these side effects, and they're not side effects that are systemically ruining yourself, or like almost none of them influence your sex hormones, just like the ones that are supposed to do that, like HCG and HMG, but the other ones. So it's great for women. Like I'm trying to get out to all these women that are on Anavar, these bikini girls, and be like, just like in the off season, like I'm not going to recommend it. Use IGF-1 and Sermorelin at night or something like that as a bikini girl, right? Just like there's things you can use without ruining your fertility and maybe virilization. And as a bikini girl, to be honest, most of the ones that are really genetically gifted anyways, they wouldn't have to use anything. They would just have to train more like in a bodybuilding way and not be afraid and just not do the ancillary movements. So the reason why I went into it is getting other paths of muscle growth, but also health and being healthier while doing, like, let's say steroids or some other enhancement.
Yeah.
Without any real side effects. Like the only side effects that you like hear about sometimes and that I have with melanotan actually is nausea. It's like there's some where people get nauseous, but for me, and I'm really sensitive to melanotan, I can take nothing and I get nauseous. Like it goes away, but it's like, damn, it's a little like stomach thing. But I also tried a GLP-1 now, and my stomach's totally fine, even when I up the dose a bit.
Why would you take a GLP-1?
So if you diet for appetite suppression, it works really well for most people. For me, it doesn't do that much, to be honest. But when you preach, like when you talk about things, like I want to have some own experience too. Like, okay,
because I was asking why you would need it. It doesn't seem like you would need it right now.
No, I don't need it. Most of the people, a GLP-1, most of the people don't need. But the people can get really addicted to food. People can get addicted to alcohol. It's maybe just 20% of the population, but just because 80% don't get addicted to it doesn't mean it's impossible, right? So it can be the same, and that could be a way out of it. The only thing that's important with GLP-1s like Ozempic, semaglutide, which I feel Ozempic is the worst of them.
And that's the one that's most widely prescribed.
I would rather say go tirzepatide or retatrutide. The most prescribed one is always the one that Big Pharma makes the most money off. So
of course,
it's the best, right?
Of course, a lot of peptide companies are making a lot of money on tirzepatide.
Yeah, but I know that. There's a misconception. People think that GLP-1s make you lose muscle. There's no pathway of the GLP-1s that is catabolic. The GLP-1s just make people fast. And when people don't change their diet and don't move. So the people that should use it are not using it, or could use it in an efficient way are mostly not using it. And the people that are using it, they shouldn't use it or should change their lifestyle. So what it does is people eat, like, let's say they eat 3 pizzas a day, right? And that's their diet. It's shit. Pizza would actually be probably the best because there is some protein in it.
At least there's protein, carbs, and fat, right? You got everything covered.
Let's say let's say they only eat like chips and, I don't know, drink soda. So now you take Ozempic, but you don't change your diet and your lifestyle. So you still sit in your ass, and it's diet soda. It's soda, not diet soda. It's soda and chips. So you just like starve yourself and eat a tiny bit of soda and chips. So then you have zero protein, zero activity, and you're fasting all day and you're eating a little bit, but that's total crap. So how of course most of what you lose is going to be muscle, because there's no muscle protection, there's no protein, there's no stimulation to keep the muscle in terms of movement or any activity. So then your body just feeds off whatever it wants, and then it just picks a ratio that it likes genetically. So that's why people lose so much muscle. They would also, if they would fast in the very same way, they eat the very same things, like they could do it mentally without the GLP-1, they would lose the same amount of muscle. It would be the same ratio. It's just because they're fasting so much. They're under eating so much, and they're eating shit on top.
So it's an appetite suppressant, essentially.
Yeah. So
and it takes away the urge to do addiction. I've heard of them using in applications for alcoholism. So it takes away, so it takes away basically that addictive need, that drive to have stuff. Yeah. So my fear of that is, again, not implementing the lifestyle and diet changes. And if people could implement that, they wouldn't need it at all. So the people taking it are generally going to get the bad stuff. And then you have the new reports about blindness.
I disagree a bit. One
so you don't think people, people who, so the goal with Big Pharma is to get people to take it for life. They do not want you to take it for 3 months, fix your lifestyle, and stop taking it.
Yeah.
They want you to take it for life. So, I mean, have you ever seen My 600-Pound Life?
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy, he does gastric bypass surgery, but you have to earn it. So you have to lose weight to show that you got the lifestyle in check and you can keep it off once they, cut your stomach, right? So essentially, instead of that litmus test that this doctor on the show does, which is prove that you can adhere to a lifestyle before I surgically alter your body, doctors are just like, oh, you can't alter your lifestyle. Here's an injection. And so they can never come off that injection. And while, there is no pathway to lose muscle on GLP-1s, we simply don't have the data of, now we have data of injecting testosterone at a bolus above supraphysiological levels. We don't have the data on saying that, okay, we're going to get this exogenous source of GLPs. We're going to put it in your body for a long period of time and never come off. So that's my concern. My concern is the long term, because you're looking at exogenously increasing this peptide, this hormone in your body. And we don't really know, like they're just now showing an increased risk of blindness from Ozempic use. So I'm not anti-Ozempic. People get it twisted. Like I'll simply post thoughts. Like what Ozempic proved is that calories in, calories out matter. And then people got really mad at that when that's exactly what it does. It was fascinating that people get on this pro or con. I'm neither. If we can find something that we can inject in people and make them lose weight and keep it off, we just cured a huge problem in society. However, when we lack that long-term data, much like we did during the pandemic, and we just start injecting people randomly with things without long-term data, you might find out you might have just created the largest experiment on a mass population of something you didn't know what was going to happen. Because we don't know what happens when you get a bolus of GLP-1 consistently over time. Now, we do have the diabetic studies, because diabetics have been on this stuff for a long time, but they were at such a lower dose. So again, the dose is like we talk about TRT. We did that in our last podcast. So TRT, generally speaking, the data on longevity is very promising, very positive, where we obviously know that if a bodybuilder is taking a super high amount of exogenous hormones over a long period of time, it's detrimental to their health. So that's my only concern with the GLPs.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a concern, of course. There's also a concern that people start with too high of the dosage, especially when they're prescribed that by a regular doctor, because these regular doctors, they just look at the recommendations. When people know a little bit, they were like, let's try, instead of 5 milligrams, let's start with 0.5.
Yes.
And And then you go like, okay, when do we have the desired effect, and do we have that without a side effect? So that's obviously, but for some people, it could also allow them to move again. Some people are so freaking fat.
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to work out, dude, they would have to start with like wrist curls. I don't know.
Well, it'd be basically low impact bike riding and swimming would be what a morbidly obese person, or if they can walk, if they are mobile via biped, via legs, then that'd be an option. So that's my main concern about Ozempic. That, and I mean, there are case studies where actually Alan's helping a person now who had to have her gallbladder removed and a couple other issues. And the only variable, again, we don't have the complete picture of it, right? But the only variable is the Ozempic. So there are some things that are concerning me. And I know 3 people in my circle, and I don't have a big circle, man. I keep my circle tight, who have had long-term deleterious, very, very, very unfortunate effects from Ozempic use. And a lot of times these are people who are already not fat. They are lean, but they want to get that extra level of leanness. Like, let's say a 42-year-old housewife who's 5 pounds above their goal weight. So we're seeing those people, instead of just buckling down, doing a little extra cardio, they're like, nah, I'm going to do this. So that's the concern I see. And I do see applications. There are some people who are so fat. I'm like, dude, just force inject that person with Ozempic. Just hold them down and inject them. But I think, I do think it's a fascinating topic. I didn't really want to get on Ozempic and GLP-1s, but they are the hottest thing in peptides right now. And I'm glad you're nuanced. There's people like Dr. Nadolsky and a lot of people who it's like, these are magical. They don't do anything bad. They're perfect. It's like, dude, no. Here's the thing is that we lack nuance. And again, he's a guy who's prescribing these things. So there is a conflict of interest. I don't make money on Ozempic. And fat burners don't sell anymore. I mean, either way, I'm selling protein and stuff that helps your workout. I'm not selling fat burners. So my concern is, how do you, and Lyle McDonald, like, he went off at me. He's just an angry old man right now. He's never gained muscle. Yeah, you cut that out and come at me again, Lyle, you nerd. Anyway, he's like, Marc Lobliner. It's like, dude, I'm not anti-Ozempic. I'm obviously pro-drug, right? Like, I'm pro making people awesome. But I also think we're doing a disservice to our community and not saying that, hey, here are the risks here. And if you can lose weight without them, by all means, I think you're going to have the same desired end result. It's just might be a little bit harder.
You like, it's like with every drug, like, not every drug is for everyone in every case.
Yes.
And if you take Ozempic or any of these drugs, you should, like the doctor should, make a commitment with you about certain things that have to be followed through with. If I be a doctor and I prescribe it to someone, and I'm like, I at least want to see some videos of you doing whatever in the gym.
Yeah.
You can. And if I don't see that to you, prescription off, buddy. Like, really, because if we can then implement that lifestyle with these people, maybe we can taper off the drug and then we can stay at it. And there's also other peptides, for example, that are pretty good for weight loss, like an AOD 9604.
Explain that.
That's a modified version of HGH. And it only is that part of HGH that is fat burning. So this is pretty perfect. It does only it's very selective. So it only does the fat burning part.
That's crazy.
Like the fat burning property of HGH.
What is that? Can you say what that was called again?
Someone's interested. It's called AOD 9604.
Oh, no, because I know people are going to ask us about this after the fact.
Yeah.
I don't, if there's one thing I don't need, it's extra fat burning.
Yeah, you always shred it. That's true.
That's one, man.
AOD reverse for you.
Yeah, I need the fat gaining component of HGH. That is fast. Boom.